All right, let's jump right into it. If you've spent any time at all looking at how things are put together, you probably know that unity and harmony are kind of like the invisible glue holding a piece of art, a room, or an app interface together. They make things feel cohesive, right? But here's the thing. While unity is absolutely essential, too much of it creates a massive problem. And that problem is boredom. I want you to use your sensory imagination for a second and really think about this. What if everything was exactly the same? Picture walking into a room where absolutely everything, the walls, the furniture, the carpets, the curtains, is the exact same shade of beige. Or imagine a fashion collection made entirely of identical cotton fabric, all cut into the exact same boxy shape. I mean, the design might be perfectly harmonious and unified, sure, but it would also feel incredibly repetitive, uninspiring, and honestly, completely lifeless. Look at the stark contrast we're dealing with here. On one side, we've got predictable monotony, that extreme of absolute sameness where everything matches a little too perfectly. But on the other side, we have engaging, dynamic, exciting visual richness. This visual richness is what actually keeps a viewer's attention. It's what sparks curiosity and actively supports storytelling and design. So you might be wondering, how do designers actually get from predictable to engaging? Well, the crucial element we need is variety. By definition, variety is the use of different visual elements to create interest and prevent monotony. It literally acts as the cure to boring design. Variety gives the human eye something brand new to discover. Good design almost always has to balance familiarity with a little bit of surprise. And variety? Variety provides that spark of surprise that wakes up our brains and makes us want to keep looking. So, how do we actually inject this into our work? Let's crack open the designer's toolkit. We can introduce variety through color, using different hues to create visual energy or even sudden shifts in mood. We can use shape, maybe combining really rigid geometric forms with soft, flowing organic ones to create some contrast. Then there's texture. Mixing a smooth, glossy surface with something rough, woven, or matte adds incredible depth to a piece. We can also play around with size and scale to create a strong visual hierarchy. That tells you what to look at first, second, and third. And finally, material. Blending different physical materials creates a much richer sensory experience that just makes any design feel alive. Moving right along, let's look at Section 1, Variety Across Fields. To really see how this builds in the real world across 6 distinct design disciplines, let's look at everyday life right here in our vibrant Indian context. Take fashion, for example. There's this incredible contrast when you pair a heavy silk kanjivaram dupatta with a simple, minimalist raw cotton kurta. In interior design, it's all about mixing warm wood furnishings with those vibrantly patterned athangodi floor tiles. For UI/UX design, just think about your everyday UPI apps. They use a bright visual hierarchy and varied iconography to keep the interface engaging while still maintaining consistency. In textiles, it's mixing rigid geometric borders with flowing organic floral motifs in traditional block prints. Graphic designers do it by placing a modern, clean sans serif font right up against an ornate traditional Indian script. And in products, it's combining sleek metallic finishes with tactile woven natural handles. Across all these fields, it's really about balancing that familiarity with the delightful surprise of contrasting elements. Which brings us to Section 2, the danger zone, variety versus chaos. Now, this is where so many beginners make a fundamental mistake. They just assume that if a little bit of variety makes a design good, then maximum variety will make it a total masterpiece. But look at what actually happens when we swing to that extreme. Too many colors plus too many fonts plus too many patterns equals absolute chaos. When you throw way too many styles and elements into a single space, you aren't creating visual richness anymore. You're just creating overwhelming confusion. Your eye literally doesn't know where to rest, the hierarchy gets completely destroyed, and honestly, the viewer just feels exhausted. Which brings us to the ultimate golden rule. The goal is not maximum variety. The goal is controlled variety. I really want you to lock that phrase in.
You want to hit that design Goldilocks sweet spot. Successful, controlled variety is always carefully balanced with a strong sense of unity. You're giving the eye just enough difference to be intrigued and excited, but enough similarity and repetition to understand that all these elements actually belong to the exact same family. So I want to challenge you right now to actively apply this toolkit. Let's do a really quick observation exercise. First, pick something around you right now. It could be a website you have open in another tab, the room you're sitting in, the outfit you're wearing, or even just a product package on your desk. Take a really good look at it. Okay, second, try to identify what is creating visual interest. Did the designer use a pop of contrasting color, maybe a rough texture against a smooth one, or a sudden shift in size? Third, evaluate how those differences are actually working together to keep your attention. And as you evaluate it, ask yourself this one vital question. Does it feel balanced, or does it feel overwhelming? Is there an underlying unity there? Because remember, great design isn't about making absolutely everything different. It's about intentionally making those differences beautifully work together. Which leaves us with a bigger question to wrap up this explainer. Look around your world right now, from the apps you use to the spaces you live in. Are you surrounded by inspiring, controlled variety, or have you just been quietly living in a state of predictable monotony?